this is Zach with Pitmaster Pasture, and we're getting ready to do a double reverse sear steak competition using a Weber charcoal grill and a Traeger. And we're going to start off here by going ahead with our charcoal. I'm going to go ahead and get it lit. I've got just about half right now of this chimney filled, and I'm using B&B competition oak charcoal here, and it's going to give us a really good hot consistent smoke all the way through. I'm going to go ahead and get it started here. The thing I like about these chimneys is that it's going to get that heat going straight up, which is going to get the whole chimney completely going. So as this moment that we're ready to grill and smoke, we're going to be able to do that right from the get-go. So let's go ahead and go over and get our steaks ready.
Hey, what's up, Pitmasters? This is Jesse with Pitmaster Pasture, and we are just about to dive into some of my favorite cuts of meat. It's a ribeye. Now, when you're going to a grocery store, whether it's Walmart or wherever you get your meat, you'll always see ribeyes. But there's a key to picking a good one. When you get in the store and you check out these ribeyes, here's what you need to know. That each one of these ribeyes has marbling. And the more marbling the steak has, the better the flavor the steak has. That's one of the keys that you want to look to. The other thing is, there's a big fat pocket that sometimes runs through the middle of these steaks. It separates the two pieces of the meat. You want to get kind of a smaller one, because otherwise it's going to take up a big portion of what you're paying for steak. So today, we got a good one. We got a couple of good ones, and we're going to season them up with a couple of rubs from my man Cosmo at Cosmo Q. And these are my favorite rubs on the market. This one right here is called Cow Cover Hot. This is going to be the first rub that we're going to put on. It's absolutely delicious. It has like cayenne pepper and some spices just to get in there and give you a real savory bite. The other one is called a Texas beef. That has some salt and pepper, a little bit of onion, garlic, and some sugar. That's going to give your steak an amazing crust. So we're going to trust these, season them up, and get them ready to go on the Traeger and the Weber.
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. And when you're looking in here, you see all of this fat. That fat will actually render during the cooking process. And because of how thin these are, we're also going to go ahead and truss them. And just to get this ready, I'm going to start by trimming off just this little piece of fascia in here. And so I'm using a 7-inch flexible fillet knife, and I'm just going to cut in under here. And basically, when you're doing this, there's a lot of different knives that you can use, but the trick is to really just make sure that you have a wonderfully sharp knife. I believe that a person willing to do the sharpening on a knife is going to really make up for a lot of quality discrepancies in different knives, and so having a good sharp knife to work with is just really critical. So I've got that all cleaned up now, and I'm going to just discard this piece of fascia here. And then when I go to truss these, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of start off by getting it nice and kind of gathered together. And what I've done here as far as the length of trussing twine that I'm using is I just take it and I measure about 4 lengths of the longest side of the piece of meat that I'm using. All right, so you can see that I've got this to about where I want it right now, and I'm just going to throw in a second knot in here, and that's going to help us keep in place. And then I'm just going to use my knife here, and I'm going to go ahead and trim up the trussing twine, and we'll go ahead and get this rubbed. All right, so as you can see, these poles have all caught really well. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put these all off to one side in here, being very careful not to put my hand up above this chimney. I want to be able to use it from the side so I don't get burned. And I'm just getting them all over to the one side here. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me both a hot zone over here and a cold zone over here. That's going to be able to allow me to control the temperature that it's experiencing in there. All right, so we're going to get this steak on the Weber here, and if you'll notice, the way that we have this set up here, we have the coals on the one side. I have that opened up, so we're going to be able to add coals continuously throughout the smoke if we need to be able to control that heat. I also have a probe over here that's going to actually measure the ambient temperature on this side of the kettle, and I'm going to go ahead and add my steak here and put that right onto the grill grate here. And I'm going to take my lid, and on these Webers, you'll notice here that you have the opening up the vent on the lid. I'm going to actually place that vent opposite of where the coals are, and what it's going to do is it's going to actually draw heat across the surface of that steak and be able to give me a good smoke without it getting too out of control on heat.
All right, so we got the grill up to 504 degrees, which is a great temperature for searing. As we open up the grill, you can see I got just one of these grill grates on here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw this steak on the grill grate. I'm gonna spray this thing down with a little bit of cooking spray. That way the steak doesn't stick as much as you would think it normally would. We're gonna go ahead and let it sit on there for a minute and a half. After a minute and a half, we're gonna split it, twist it, and then we're gonna flip it a minute and a half on each side there. So let's get this steak on the grill. When you get it on the grill, oh, that's my favorite sound. When you get it on the grill, you want to take your spatula, push it down real good. Make sure you're going to get those great grill marks that are going to make even a steakhouse wish that they could have a steak this good. All right, so we've been cooking this steak for about 3 minutes on each side. We're going to take it off. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up in this foil and let it rest. But go ahead and take a look at those grill marks. That's what you're looking for. That's what a steakhouse can't give you, but that's exactly what backyard barbecue can give you. So just check the steak out in just a minute as we cut open and see how good it is.
So we are just under 500 degrees on this Weber, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get this steak thrown onto the same it's the other half of the grill grates that we used on the Traeger, so we're going to get the exact same sear. My tool's on the other side. I'm going to get over it, so just bear with me here a second. You can hear that great sound. That's exactly what I want to hear. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing so we get pretty similar markings, and I'm going to get this into the right spot. And I'm going to throw my lid back on, and we're going to go for it. All right, so we have been letting this rest for the last 10 minutes and really allowing, as Jesse said, those juices to really soak back into the meat to be able to give you just the best experience possible when it comes to cutting into this. We're gonna go ahead and look. Some of the things I'm looking for when I wanna see if the steak is done to perfection, I wanna see those really nice sear marks. Those sear marks are really actually going to change the flavor dynamic of the food. And I'm also wanting to see that it's done to perfection. I'm going to go ahead and take off my my twine here that I used when I trussed this earlier today, and going to go ahead and cut in. I'm watching where the grain marks are going, and so I'm just going to give this a nice slice right through. And I can feel right now that this is just done exactly how I want it to be done. We're looking in that that medium range, which is exactly where you want to see a steak done. And the color and everything that I'm getting off of here is just perfect, textbook. You can see that nice pink warm center in there with just a beautiful smoke ring around the outside, showing that you can really get that kind of an effect off of a lot of different kinds of cookers. So we're going to go ahead and taste these all side by side and see how they held up one versus another.
All right, Zach, you sure you're ready to taste my Traegered ribeye?
I sure am. I'm gonna pass this piece right along to you here, right, and I guarantee you that we are going to be able to go toe to toe. I'd say that my smoke ring rivals yours in a pretty real way.
I would agree. Here we go. That is good. That is good.
I'd say any way you slice it, but there's really a specific way you should be slicing this.
You're right about that.
But that is just awesome.
Hey, if you want a juicy steak with a great flavor, this is the way you do it, the reverse sear. So Pitmasters, whatever your level, until we meet again, like we always say, bringing the good word of barbecue
to your backyard.
We'll see you next time.